book review and rating of Fable. There's timestamps throughout this video, so if you want to skip around, feel free to. In fact, boom! Here's my star rating right here. Check it, it's right there. If you're interested, it is a 10-star rating because half stars are stupid. So feel free to leave the video if that's all you're here for. I hope you enjoyed. If not, and you want to know why I rated it that, stick around till after the summary of the authors is read aloud to you. Should not have done that.
Welcome to the world made dangerous by the sea and by those who wish to profit from it, where a young girl must find her place and her family while trying to survive in a world built for men. For 17-year-old Fable, the daughter of the most powerful trader in the Narrows, the sea is the only home she has ever known. It's been 4 years since the night she watched her mother drown during the unforgiving storm. The next day, her father abandoned her in the legendary island filled with thieves and little food. To survive, she must keep to herself, learn to trust no one, and rely on the innate skills her mother taught her. The only thing that keeps her going is the goal of getting off this island, finding her father, and demanding her rightful place beside him and his crew. To do so, Fable enlists the help of a young trader named Wes to get her off the island and across the Narrows to her father. But her father's rivalries and the dangers of his trading enterprise have only multiplied since she last saw him. To Fable soon finds that Wes isn't who he seems. Together they will have to survive more than the treacherous storms that haunt the Narrows if he's going to stay alive.
Listen, Fable, it wasn't my fault, okay? They made me drop you. It's for the theatrics. I'm sorry, don't break. I don't know how you'd break, but don't do it. Hopefully you enjoyed that author summary. I'm going to do my own summary at the end of the video, but it's going to have spoilers, so I put it at the very end, and we're going to talk about the key aspects in obscure detail. That way there's no ruining, because I hate spoilers so freaking much. I would never want to spoil things for you. You're welcome. First things first, I want to tell you a little bit about how I found out about this book. I was on stream watching somebody, and I asked them just randomly what is their favorite book and what would they recommend. And we talked back and forth, and they recommended Fable because they said it was a pirate's book and it had fantasy and it had other cool stuff. So I was down and I got it, and now I read it, and here we are. So if you're like me and you love pirates and you're expecting swinging people from other ships to stab the other people, and then they're cussing and cutting people up, that is not this one. In fact, spoiler, there is 0 cannons fired in this whole book. So that should tell you that it's more character driven and less fight scene, which is totally cool. I just want to let you guys know. And obviously I rated it really good. I really like the book still, so I just want to let you know. But I will say, I always expect a battle scene that's big and grand, and we didn't get any of that. There is 3 books. I didn't know that going in, but you should definitely know that there is 3 books, because at the end of this book, it's not exactly a big ending. It's a big twist, and it's dramatic, but it's like not an end to anything, if that makes sense. Usually in book 1, 2, and 3, there's like a soft ending basically, but the grand ending isn't done. There was not really any soft ending, so it kind of felt like half a book. It's just so big that she ended it there, and she ended it at a good spot. That's what it felt like to me, at least. So hopefully you guys knowing that information will be more prepared for it, because now that I've read this half, I'm like, I want to read the other half, and I don't feel like it was really an ending completion. Those are my biggest critiques. I don't want to hate on this book right out of the bat because I loved it. I will say it's in first person, which usually I don't like, but she did amazingly well, the author. Because usually when I hear the word I, that throws me off completely. I hear I, and I think I, and I don't think you I think I. So it's like I, and I'm like I, and it's confusing because I have ADHD and I can't handle the pressure. But in this book, it wasn't that bad. I didn't feel like it was taking me out of the world. And actually, I didn't feel like nothing took me out the book, all right? You heard? I felt like I was enveloped in the book the whole time, and nothing was like distracting me obviously real world stuff, but like nothing in the book that was like, oh, that's dumb, why'd they do that, kind of thing. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the characters. Obviously, we know about Fable, so I can talk about her. She was the main character. Obviously, she was good, because if she wasn't good, the whole book wouldn't be good. But she's awesome, and I feel like she really got into her personality. So she's awesome, and I can't wait to see more of her. That is a plus for that character. Plus on the rating, I guess. I don't know why. Plus. Negative. That's what we're doing now, so get ready. The second character I want to talk about is the dad. He's mentioned in the book. He's a big part of it. Mostly talked about instead of talked to, but he is a big part of it. There is only one viewpoint, and it's Fable, so you don't get anybody else's viewpoint, which is actually works really well for this book. We'll talk about that later. But back to the dad, he was amazing. He had cool clothes. He had cool attitude. He swagged. He was a guy you knew if you crossed, he was going to mess you up, give you the freaking business. But he was technically a bad guy. He was he's not good. That's for sure. He's not purposely killing everyone. So he's not totally bad. Definitely not good. I want to root for him. He's my favorite character. At the end of this book, I hope he runs the whole freaking world and everyone kneels to him. Not really, but hopefully he wins for sure. Next, we're going to talk about, we'll call him the Macho Man for no spoilers, but he's the man that's a man for being men's sake. He's brooding, he's mysterious, he doesn't want to talk to everyone until about halfway through he opens up a little and you get more of his character, and then the last quarter he really opens up, spoiler, and he becomes kind of cool. I'm not going to tell you who it is, you'll figure it out. But I will say it kind of felt like she was just putting him in as a trope and we needed a manly man, and she was basically putting him off, which I understand, but she's basically putting him off until later, and then she got into him. So he's just kind of there at the beginning, and I don't feel like he has much depth, except for that he's mysterious. Then we'll get into the best friend, who we don't see for a long time because Fable's all alone for a while, but we get to the best friend around the same time. And I will say I like her. She had a lot of depth from the beginning, pretty much sooner than anyone else, and you kind of connect with her pretty soon-ish, I'll say. I think she was really well-rounded as well. Again, no spoilers because there's so many characters and you don't know who's good, who's bad, and all that, so I don't want to ruin anything for you. Summary at the end will have more spoilers. And literally after that, any other character in that book I felt was just there to be a purpose and had no depth at all. They basically went into they basically had all the tropes that you need and then just left it, and then like a couple of them felt like they were pushing a narrative, but they just came in to push narrative and left, and then you're like, well, I don't care about them. Like if they all died, no offense, I wouldn't have that much feelings about it, sorry. And that was just my opinion. Again, there's more books. Maybe she goes into them and she's leaving them for later. Maybe we want some saucy later, but not saucy now. No saucy now. So I will say overall the characters she did get into were amazing, but it's a negative overall because so many of the characters just didn't matter to me and they were just kind of there. So hopefully she'll go in depth later and that will be a plus. Then we're going to get into the world building, which is why we're in sci-fi and fantasy, right? This is the best part of any book ever. And if you don't have world building, I'm not interested in your book at all. So get it out of here. Go. Anyways, world building was a plus. Plus. They really dive deep, pun intended on that one, because most pirate books, you don't literally go under the water. It's all about the ships and on deck and that kind of thing. And instead she kind of flipped it and she went into the underwater aspects and that kind of thing, because Fable is swimming a lot, and they actually, a part of that world building that I like so much is like she describes the breath it takes, and then when she goes underwater she's describing underwater, and she's describing how she feels inside, like literally physically her body's feeling and like her breath, and then what she's thinking about and what she's doing, which really brings you in depth, and it makes you feel like you're really in to the character depth. Get it? Stop, dude, that's lame. Just kidding, it's awesome. I feel like the way she describes, like if she was described walking to the other side of the beach, it was in a few seconds, and then a lot of time would pass, and you would know a lot of time would pass getting into plot, and you wouldn't even have a problem with it being so much time passed. So it'd be like very fluent, because most fantasy books, at least the ones I read, are like end of chapter, hard stop, because you're switching the character point of view and then you continue. But this one's like chapter, little hump, and then you keep going, and it's like you noticed a chapter change, and that was about it, because it just kept going and it was fluent and it made you want to keep going, more like a thriller, and there was no hard stops really until like literally the last chapter. Then it was a hard stop. But since it is one point of view, that was a luxury she had, and it worked very well. Plus, she also leaves a lot up to the imagination, which I'm always a big fan of, because my imagination, big brain, is so freaking good, I swear. I'm just kidding. Little hype up. My bad. Chill. Gives you the key details of what you need to know, and she'll describe certain like key aspects, like a literal key. If she was gonna unlock the door, she kind of described it, but the whole surrounding, she would say like it's eerie, the creaky floor, the color, and then you kind of had to put up a bunch of facts on your own, and she would like hint at stuff so that you could build it on your own. It was really cool to see how she constructed it for me to construct. She's playing mind games, she knows. But I was okay with it. The one thing I think she did not go away with is most of the key plots. For some reason, I could guess every move she was gonna make. She wanted you to think you're going this way, but really we were going this way. But I knew that we were going this way, and I followed her. She was like trying to pull me this way. She's like, come this way. And I was like, no, you're going this way. That's a decoy over there. Don't try to trick me. So I got it. She didn't get me. Except for the last part. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I thought she wanted me to go this way, and I thought she was going this way again. But we went that way. But all aside, all jokes, it was like any good ending where you could predict it if you were bigger brain than me, but you're not, obviously. So you don't predict it until the very end. And you're like, oh, I should have guessed that. Gosh, golly. But all the other ones, I will say, that is a negative, that we could see where she was really going, even though she kind of pretended like we were going this way and that way, but we were really going this way, and I knew, and we were playing chess, and I was a step ahead of her the whole time, and then all of a sudden the pawn got my king at the very end, and I was like, oh, you suck. But it made it not as exciting when I could see that exciting points were coming ahead. Word. If you got that, let me know, because that was a pretty wild ride. This is kind of plot, kind of character, but there is romances. I'm not going to tell you between who and for what, but it's kind of cool to see romances in this world, and it kind of conflicts with the pirate world, so that conflicts with everybody's secrets can't be told out loud because they'll use it against you vibe, because that's all pirate books basically. So it's kind of cool to see how they navigated that and added it in. Looking back on it, it was a little repetitive for me, and that's why we can't give it 10, but this is me really nitpicking, which is always a great sign when I do a book review. I think I hit all the main points, so if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments, but we're going to jump right in. Dive right in. Nailed it, dude. Dive right in to the summary. Okay, so that being said, half spoilers. I'm gonna like say names and what happens. Obviously, no big things are gonna be spoiled, but I'm such a freak about spoilers. Like, if you tell me one little thing about something that I already know I'm gonna read or watch or something, I'm gonna punch someone in the face, right? So I don't want you guys to have spoilers, so I'm gonna go light still, but I just want to let you guys know, because I hate it, and I can't be the one that does that to other people, or I'm going to hate myself and stay up all night. Someone's going to leave one freaking comment and be like, you spoil a little too much, and I'll be like, no. Anyways, so get this right. Fable, she gets left on this island by her stinky dad. Then she has to figure out her whole life basically all by herself. It's like one big test. That sucks, right? So she figures it out by doing some deep sea diving and finding gems under the ground, which there's something to that later, I won't tell you. Anyways, getting to the story again, she does this diving for random crews, and then she goes and she sells it to this merchant in the merchant area, whatever you call it, plaza. No, I don't know what's called, mate. Chill, I don't need to know the details. Anyways, she'd been doing this for a long time, and she finally got enough saved up, right? So she's gonna get off this island, right? And then right when she's gonna get off this island, a bunch of pirates are like, give me your money, dude. She's like, no, I don't want to give you your money. So she doesn't do it. Instead, she runs. Pretty smart lad. She goes to the merchant ship. She's like, get me across the ocean. I want to get out of here. I got enough money finally to see my dad and prove that I made it all by myself, blah, 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 blah. And then Captain's like, no, man, I don't want to take you. And she's like, but they're out there and going to kill me. We got no options. And the crew's like, don't do it. You're stupid. And then the captain's like, well, I guess. West is his name. So he takes her. What if it was West? I didn't even look. That'd be pretty funny. Takes her, we're going to say it's West just for the story. West takes her west, and they go across the ocean, and they make a stop for West, and then they make another stop for West and his crew. My bad, they got a crew. Anyways, they do the crew things on the 2 different islands. On the second island, they got a bit of trouble, right? So this guy who doesn't like West and his crew comes to scrapping. They get in a bunch of trouble. Fable starts getting mixed in with West and their crew life, and they start doing like this. But Fable's whole thing is she doesn't want to trust anyone. West's whole thing is he doesn't want to trust anyone, or their crew doesn't want to trust anyone. But they kind of have to get over it, right? To live, right? Plot story, right? I don't know why I'm doing it like this. I'm really sorry if this bothers you. It's not even a real accent. So anyways, this douchebag, we call him, he's causing a ruckus, right? And then they get partway through the ship, and then you realize that there's a ruckus was happening for a long time, and it's really affecting his crew for a long time. The crew retaliates in a little way. We won't spoil that either, right? And then, since they retaliate in a real way, the douchebag comes a chasing, right? He's tired of it. They finally get to the island, West does, right, with Fable. Fable gets off, meets her dad. Dad's being a little jerk. They have a little tussle-wussle. They do a little problem. Everything's weird. Not gonna spoil more than that. Anyways, the douchebag comes back, right? And then he comes and makes a big problem. West has a big problem. Fable has a big problem because he's with West, the crew. They're on the ship, right? They're all together, right? Since they got such a problem, they basically get intertwined more, right? Relationships happen, right? And Fable basically says, oh, we might as well stick together more, right? Right? And by this point, you're about 3/4 away, right? And stuff keeps happening, right? And then the Fable and the dad have problems, right? And it doesn't work out like Fable wants to, because obviously you can't really do this and still have a good story and everything goes smoothly. So Fable and his dad, right? They don't like each other, and they like, you know, it's confusing relationship, let's say the least. But they are still father and daughter. Basically, he gives her half of what she wants, but not really what she wants. Then it's all about getting West and Fable out of these predicaments, and they have to join together with the power of friendship, right? And with that power of friendship, they figure some stuff out. And right when you think everything's going good, right, bad stuff happens because it's the end of book 1, right? And then that's where the story goes that way, right? It goes West with West and Fable, right? And ain't that a bloody good book, right? Alright, I'm sorry I went with that accent. It really is getting away with me at the end there too, so my bad. But I hope that explains some things without spoiling anything at all. I literally left like a big chunk at the end because that would totally ruin the book, and I ain't gonna do that. So if you're looking for that, go somewhere else, dude. And if you're also watching this still, go somewhere else because the video's over. That's all.